So the third week of the month is a little bit of a nicer story, a little bit less dark. So let's go with Niceties Week. Let's call it Niceties Week. So, anyways, without further ado, here's the Snowmen of St. Mary's Orphanage. Mary crept out of bed, slipping on her frayed bunny slippers, and snuck past Mother Superior's room. She shivered as she clutched her light cotton cardigan. It was a cold winter, and the freezing draft nipped at her ankles like an insistent yipping dog. She made her way down the stairs, gently, trying to stop the stairs from creaking. She needed not worry anyways. She was far too light for that to be of any concern. Mary turned the lock on the heavy oak door. The deadbolt clicked back with a dull thud. Mary held her breath. Silence. No one had heard. Truth be told, the nuns were rather liberal on the barbiturates. Not that Mary had any idea what a barbiturate was. As far as she was concerned, the sisters were just always tired and sleepy. They looked after a lot of orphans, after all, and not all of them were as well behaved as Mary. Mary grimaced as she thought about how Mother Superior would react to catching her out of bed, but she shrugged it off. She was doing a good thing, after all. The other orphans had said that there wouldn't be a Christmas this year either. Santa Claus hadn't stopped by in a couple of years. Mother Superior said he must have missed the orphanage amidst all the other good kids. Not that they weren't good, she was always quick to add, just that there were a lot of other children and people just kind of forgot. So Mary would do her best then. She'd make sure Santa came this year. Then at Christmas Mass tomorrow there would be presents for everyone. Yeah. Santa would fly over the orphanage and Mary would wave him down. She'd been good this year, as had been the other children. Apart maybe from Brady, but it wasn't like he didn't have a reason to be bad. It had taken his family 4 years to finally decide they didn't want him. Still, Mary couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy when she thought about it. He'd actually spent time with them. Mary had once asked Mother Superior if it was possible she remembered what her parents looked like. Her father had wavy brown hair and her mother had blue eyes. She was sure of it. Mother Superior had said no. Her brain had been too young. But Mary swore she remembered. Mary shivered in the winter cold. It had begun to pierce through her cardigan. Mary wouldn't dare admit it, but she hoped they would come back. But if they didn't, then a new teddy bear would be nice. Brady had taken hers. She let him have it, so he could use a comfort after all. But if Santa thought she had been good enough, then maybe he'd let her see her family again. Just for a little while. She wanted to see her father's warm smile again, and her mother's blue eyes. She wondered if they'd hold her tight, if they'd be proud of the girl she'd become. Deep down she hoped that if she was good enough, they'd want her. They'd regret leaving her at St. Mary's and they'd ask for her forgiveness. And she'd say yes and they'd be a family again. A light shot across the sky and Mary jumped up. It was Santa, she was sure of it. She shouted and screamed for him to come down, but to no avail. Silence returned to the snow-covered gardens, and the sky was empty again. Mary sighed. Santa had forgotten them again. She sat down in the snow and stared up at the empty sky. Maybe it was her fault. Maybe if she made it to the top of the nice list, Santa wouldn't forget them. She'd just have to try harder next year. Mary was lost in thoughts and plans and hadn't noticed the footsteps behind her, and jumped when a light touch ran across her hair. She turned and joy shot up her spine. Her parents were here. After all this time they'd come for her on Christmas morning. Her father's hair was not brown like she remembered, but white. She threw her arms around them, but their touch was freezing. It bit into her, but she held on ever tighter, whimpering in the cold. They were here, and they'd be together now. All was forgiven. When dawn arose on Christmas Day, all the children rose from their beds but one. It was Mother Superior who had found her. Cold as ice, lips blue, arms tightly wound around a mound of snow, as the snowfall tenderly caressed her face.